Hold on, let me shape my vision. Break every chain, rewrite my position. Free from the system, no stress, no prison. Build my future with relentless ambition. Hold on, let me sharpen my mission. Faith in my heart, but I move with precision. Financially free just to raise my children. Giving them peace instead of surviving condition.
All right, blessings, y'all. We had a little technical difficulty there. I pray that you guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. Y'all, it's your girl, Lady T. It is Thursday. I am so excited about tonight. I am so excited about tonight. Please like, tag, share, let somebody know. It is Relationships Uncut on tonight. Y'all, listen. You are in for an amazing treat. I have two phenomenal, amazing, real, just powerful women that are going to be on tonight that absolutely have great expertise and training in relationships. And so, you guys, as I have said all week long, real quick, I'm going to say it again. Disclaimer. Okay, this is not for the weak at heart or for the weak of hearing. All right, this is not my normal platform where we're coming and we're having ministry in church. Yes, we will give you some very beautiful nuggets of wisdom throughout tonight's live. But if you have young children, if you have a spouse or a friend around that you feel like may not want to hear what we have to say tonight, I am going to politely say, watch the replay by yourself. All right, it may get a little vulgar, and that is because we are answering questions. This is real, raw, and uncut. What does that mean? That means there's no filter. We are talking about relationships, not just husband and wife relationships, sister and brother relationships, but relationships in general. All right. And so love to everybody that's coming on. I see you all. Thank you all for tagging people. Let your people know we are absolutely on. So before I bring our awesome, I'm going to call it our mini panel on tonight, I want to give you guys just a couple of announcements really quick. And I will do introductions on later, a little bit later on, but I always do this. For those of you who do watch Tuesdays, I kind of been just verbally saying it, but I'm gonna put a couple flyers up. You all know we always collaborate. Shout out to Nicole Snow and In Snow Ministries. We want to ensure that California, my West Coast people, that you are getting in touch with Coco Nicole Snow. All right, she's doing some great things. She has an awesome event coming up with one of our mutual friends, Pastor Tanika Bedford in the Lancaster Palmdale area. Please look at her page for that information. I want you all to ensure that you guys go out, that you all support. Y'all know that used to be my neck of the woods. I used to run around in the Antelope Valley in the high desert, and I want for you guys to go out and support Bestie. I could not put the flyer up quick enough, so I'll put up your ministry flyer. All right. So also, you guys, on August the 22nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. at Dr. Barb Studios. You all, this is my leader. I would like for you guys to come out, and this is going to be an amazing evening of breakthrough. I want you guys to come out on the 22nd, 6 p.m. Waycross, Georgia. The address is 325 East Blackshear Avenue. All right, y'all have been asking. I have gotten quite a few emails. I said I wasn't doing it because I got a little frustrated. Hallelujah. I'm going to put that little spiritual part in there right there. But y'all, I am opening up R5 mentorship again. Real, royal, radical, righteous remnant. One-on-one mentorship sessions. Listen, these mentorship sessions, yes, they are absolutely Christian and spiritually based, but I keep it 100. So if you are not ready to hear unfiltered, not only what I know you need or what the Father has to say, then this is not for you. But there's the information on that. If you would like this flyer, I will inbox, DM, or email it to you. So please keep that in mind. You all save the date. All right, October the 10th, 2026. Y'all, I'm going to be very honest. I am in between three places for this conference. The Father has been talking to me, and I'm beginning to think I'm supposed to do it in all three places in different times. So I'm just going to say it like this: Atlanta, Texas, and California will see this conference. I will release where it will be for 2026 in the next couple of weeks after I solidify venues. So please do save the date for October the 10th, 2026 for the Royal Rubies first annual conference, Royal Rubies Running. All right. And also, I'm booking, y'all. I was on a serious God ordained sabbatical, and I bless the Lord for it. Hallelujah. I'm back. Hey, y'all. All right. Not just for speaking engagements, but women's meetings, empowerment, youth empowerment. It doesn't have to be church, y'all, because y'all know I operate outside the four walls, chaplain services, weddings, funerals, christenings, all those things. You all, the information is there on the flyer. That will be up on my page. You all know that this is Royal Rubies, real people, real life, real talk, worldwide empowerment. If you do not already follow me on the social media platforms, you can literally type in like in the Bible, THEE, Real Lady T, and you can find me on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse, YouTube. All right, I'm on those platforms, and I would love to have you guys follow what we have going on. So y'all, those are the announcements for tonight. So blessings to everybody. I'm gonna give some shout outs. Hello to everybody on YouTube. I see you guys. What's up? Hello, David. Hello, Lisa. I see you, Lisa. Hey, Danielle. Good to see you, girl. I ain't seen you in a minute. Hey, Deanna. Hey, Deanna. All the way in. I forget what part of Texas you in. Hey, girl. Tell the babies I love them. Hello to my Facebook people. Hi, Wilhelmina. Listen, y'all. Wilhelmina, Snow notice. Wilhelmina don't play about me and Snow. Hey, Wilhelmina. All right. Hey, Rhonda Lott. Hey, hi, Apostle Diana, Apostle Carol. I love you guys. Hey, Glow Wiley. I see you guys on here. Thank you all for getting on and support. So listen, you guys, I'm gonna get right into it. Y'all, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So for the great women that are coming on tonight, they are and have been extremely instrumental over my life, period. I'm just saying like that, over my life, period. And so I'm going to bring each of them on. And I didn't say this part before we came on, y'all. I'm going to give you guys both time. Dr. Barb, if you would go first, and then Lady Coco Nicole Snow. I'm sorry, Habit. I would like for you to come on and listen. Tell us a little bit, not just about like yourself and what you do. It could be your personal profession or what you do in ministry. It's okay. They know. All right. But tell us about yourself. All right. So I'm gonna bring you guys both on. I'm excited to have you guys on. Yes, y'all. It's on and cracking. So real quick, y'all, we have Dr. Barbara Thomas. We have listen. Look, she's going for it. She's going for that doctor. All right. I'm gonna say Coco on this cold snow. I'm gonna keep it cool, best. And best, make sure, I think your mic might be muted, best. Make sure your mic is on so we can hear you when you come forward. But Dr. Barb, please tell the people a little bit about yourself. We know some of them already know, but go ahead. The platform is yours.
Well, I've been in ministry for over 40 years. I am a person that believe in dealing with the whole person. I'm involved with several things. I'm a diverse person. I'm not just called to just be in the church. I'm called also to the marketplace and other arenas that the Father is opening up, including being a film producer, a talk show host, mentorship. I also am now going forth for motivational speaking for the schools, and I am absolutely building this teaching and training hub that these two are going to be so instrumental in helping to help get the people to where they need to get to. And I'm just excited because I love to push people into their calling and their destiny. And so one of the things that I'm seeing now is the Father is absolutely calling us forth now to really begin to deal with the true issues. So I'm a person that deal with true issues. And when she said raw and uncut, I said, thank you. Because I am very raw in how I teach and how I teach. I'm very raw about it. And so if you hear me saying little technical names to your body, because sometimes, folks in church are cringe up if they hear certain things, but you're going to know about them before it's over with tonight. And so very raw, but one of the things I was going to be Apostle Snow and Apostle Sims. I don't know if people really know this. I wanted to really be a sex therapist for the saints. I really did. And so the Father deals with me very much so about the sexuality of the people. Very heavy about it and the very sacredness of that. And so I'm excited tonight. I'm ready. I'm just geared up, ready.
I'm excited to have you. Thank you so much for that awesome introduction. Listen, yes, the church definitely needs sex therapists because there is some issues. And yes, this is a 3-part. For those of you who don't know, this is a 3-part series. This first part is with Dr. Barb. The second part will be myself and Coco Nicole Snow. And then the third part, y'all, yeah, we gonna have a male on, and we gonna get the male perspective because I feel like it's only fair. All right. So Coco Nicole Snow, of course, Apostle Snow, but Coco Snow, go ahead and let the people know who you are.
Well. Happy to be here. It's an honor to be on this great platform with these two women of God. I have been excited and waiting. I tell you, I feel like I've had a natural cup of coffee, a natural cup of caffeine on tonight. But just to give you a little bit about myself, I am currently operating. I am a therapist, a counselor, a mentor, not to just an individual or children, but to adults as well. I also do groups as well. I've taken on the responsibility of dealing with some people, at times 20 people in one room, groups at a time, depending on whatever is needed. I also I just find it funny how the Lord just put three individuals together that have at some point in their life been accused of being too raw, too uncut, just too much for whether it be the church world, and sometimes the world, that those people outside of the four walls of the church. But it's definitely an honor. I also counsel people that are dealing with sexual issues, whether it be as a couple, whether it be the male or the female, individuals that may be also struggling with their sexual identity, and trying to cross over to what some would see as coming out of a lifestyle of loving the same sex, and wanting to cross over to getting back to the original foundation in the beginning of the man and the woman. So I don't shy away from any conversation. I'm very open. I know how to conduct myself. I know how to speak. I know where to use what word, where, when, and how. What you see is what you get. But like I said, it's an honor to be on this panel with these women. And I invite anybody, send in your questions. Let's ask them. We don't shy away. This is where the place you can come to, and whatever your question is, you can
Yes.
definitely get it addressed. And I'm gonna leave that right there because I can go on.
Yes. I'm so grateful again for both of you all being on. For those who don't know, because I'm seeing some new names, y'all, and this is a blessing to me. For those who don't know, I am Tamara Sims, Lady T. This is Royal Rubies Worldwide Empowerment. I was graced to start this about 9 years ago, where I was in a situation where I had a plethora of people, but more than anything, I had young men and women between the ages of 10 and like 35 that were coming to me with some real life issues, like really for real. Not just the heavy stuff like suicide and gang banging, drinking, smoking, but I'm talking about mental stuff in their heart, addictions. And so it prompted me to create a platform that was open, where it started off, yes, with prayer, but it has now expanded into other areas. For myself, I am a licensed and ordained chaplain. So I do go into the prisons. I go into the school system. I also, of course, deal with church. I'm a newly affirmed apostle under Dr. Barb, and I'm grateful for that. But before I was ever had the credentials in ministry, I was going into the women's prisons, into the juvenile prisons. I was going into the convalescent homes. Even currently right now, I work in a nursing home where there is a generation that has almost been forgotten. They still have things going on as well, where they are absent of their family members, and they need a counselor. They need someone to communicate and discuss life situations with. And so it's just an honor to have you all on. And y'all, we gonna jump right into it. Okay, so that's it about me. If y'all want to know more about me, y'all go find the World Rubies pages on YouTube. It's here on all the different platforms that I mentioned earlier. I'm just excited. Okay, so before I throw a question out here, okay, I wanted to put it out here. What do you feel? And I'm going to tell you the 5 that were most given through some of the questions that were emailed in. I would like for two of you guys to give the people two things that you feel like are fundamentals of relationships. Just two words that you feel are fundamentals. And let's start with Dr. Barb.
Well, when it comes to relationship, two words that I uh, definitely work with that is love and communication, whether people believe that or not. Uh, One of the things that I teach people, even when it comes to the love part, is that most of the times when we get married, we marry off of what I call the excitement of being loved. That we haven't really fell in love yet. Because to absolutely get to that place of where we operate in our agape love toward each other, it has to be built up. And so dealing with that, it gets the people to a point of understanding that even though, because for real, it has been proven that the first almost 10 years of even a marriage, we still trying to figure out if we still want to, if we want to stay with you. We're trying to figure out if we're going to stay with you, whether we're going to continue in the marriage. And I can tell you from experience, mine broke up on like the 10th year. It just fell apart. But in the course of it, we got to understand and effective communication, because I deal with a lot of couples that never talked about anything before they got together. They never sat down and had a real life reality conversation about what they're expecting from each other, what they're expecting in life, or any of that. Even to the point to where I've seen couples marry and find out that the wife never wanted children, the husband did, and stuff like that. And so it is very important to me, communication, because I'm a firm believer that we can sit down and talk about anything. And if we have a true foundation that goes along with that, that relationship will have the ability to be sustained and survive through the seasons that relationships go through. So two of the most important things that I really, because with effective communication, the first thing I ask them why they want to be together, everything of that nature. And then one of the things that most couples don't talk about is those deal breakers. I don't care what you say, there's some things that people will say, I just can't recover from this. And it can't go no further. And so we got to know all these things before we get into marriage, including uh, the management of finances, all of that. How to discipline our children if we have them. All that needs to be talked about. And so love and communication are two very important ingredients when it comes to marriage, because I've known couples that have been together for years, uh, and they never were able to communicate with each other. And with me, communication begins to open up this person's mindset, what's in their heart issues, all of that. It's able to come out when you can effectively communicate and be able to explain to somebody what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, when you're able to do that.
Awesome. I know that, and I will say communication was the number one that came through the emails and some of the DMs was basically people felt like communication is like the number one thing that could either make or break your relationship.
Mhm.
So Coco, give me your two. Because I have a total, y'all. I have a total of 7. I'm gonna read them all off, but I want to see your two.
So there were a couple of areas to go to. However, the two that came to mind immediately for me was honesty and communication. And I'll tell you why we're gonna go back to communication. But a relationship that has no honesty will fail.
Right.
If you start out with a straight out lie from the beginning, you already setting your what relationship, whatever type of relationship you may be trying to build. When you are not honest, you are setting it up for failure immediately. So you want to be honest. Don't start off the relationship with trying to appease the other person's wants, needs, desires, and their ears and what works for everybody else around you. Be honest about what you like, what you don't like, what you're looking for, what, like Dr. Barb said, what your deal breakers are. So honesty it is definitely on the list. But I had to go back to communication because Apostle Thomas, she mentioned effective communication. But when I think of the word communication, communication by itself can be broken down into like 5 different areas or more by itself. So outside of effective communication, you have to learn how to be actively communicating as well. Because I can be looking at you and making you think that I hear you, but it's going through one ear and out the other. So when you are actively communicating with somebody, you need to let that person know that I hear you. I feel what you're saying. Respond back to them and sometimes you have to give people back what they're saying to let them know that you really understood what they're saying. Don't just listen and be effective and holding them and hearing them out, but have some responses as well that show I'm being active about what you said to me. You're going to reciprocate what you told me, and you're going to see a response based off of what you already shared with me. So we have to actively communicate. So you have to use action while communicating. And the way you move in action determines how you are received in the next step. Your action moves mean everything because the way you move actively will let a person know if you are really loving on them or not. It can also let them know if you are playing with them. It can also let them know if there is an ulterior motive. So you have to learn how to utilize it's I'm telling you, communication. Dr. Barb, we could have stayed right there for a whole hour by itself or longer because communication is one of those things that if you don't have, period, regardless of what corner you're coming from with communication, if you don't have it, the relationship is it's already done. Because that's how the with no communication things open up. That's how third parties open up in the relationship. That's how if you are not effectively communicating, actively communicating, or listening, you open up for the person that's supposed to be in a relationship with you to step out of the relationship and go get actively listened to in communication from a whole nother source because you're not effectively communicating. So there's some different areas in that. But like I said, we could stay on that for a long time. So I
We're
don't
gonna
want to get stuck there.
we're gonna tap into that a little bit more because there's also, and I'm gonna read the rest of these, but there's also selective hearing, right?
Mhm.
And then there's selective communication,
Yeah.
right? And I say selective because it's a choice, right? It's a
Mhm.
choice. I'll go back to that. So you said it. You said honesty, and the second one, the second highest one that was given was integrity. And I believe that they're hand in hand. It's the same thing, honesty and integrity. So the other five that I have. So number one was communication. Number two was integrity. Number three, transparency. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Number four, collaboration. Number five, provision. Number six, intimacy. And number seven was compassion, which I also feel is interchangeable with love. All right. And so I'm going to double back. I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about two. I'm going to talk about transparency and collaboration real quick because of I myself, I've said it before. I've had relationships, but in marriage, I've had 20 years of marriage under my belt. And it is so important to understand transparency. And there's a difference between, I feel like, honesty and transparency, because you could be honest with your mate or your spouse or your friend or your children, right? But you're not fully being transparent because you could be honest but still be omitting information. You could still be omitting how you really feel about a situation. But when you're transparent about it, transparency isn't me just telling you everything. Transparent is really truthfully uncovering and revealing your heart posture. It's really uncovering and revealing how you truly feel in your heart, mind, soul, and spirit about a thing. All right. And so I wanted to touch on that. And then collaboration. I've been in situations, y'all, where not just situations in marriage, but in friendship, where it's like, hey, yeah, let's go, let's do this, let's collaborate, let's work this out. And then you get there and you realize you are the only one. All right, you are the only one trying to make something happen, which can bring frustration, which can bring issues in communication, right? Which can open up a whole entire Pandora's box of other situations and issues. And so again, I'm gonna put those out there again: communication, integrity, transparency, collaboration, provision. That's a big one right now. That'll be a whole nother look. That'll be next session. Intimacy and compassion. So tonight we're going to get into some of these questions because I don't want to be on too long. Intimacy is a big one, and a majority of the questions that I got about relationships were about intimacy. All right, and we've heard this term "into me I see." Right? If you really break that down, into me I see. All right, and so I'm going to put up one question that I want us all to kind of touch on because, again, these were given to me anonymously, right? So we don't know the people who sent them, but this one kind of has a spiritual undertone to it. And so I wanted to present this one first so we can get into the other ones. All right. And I'm going to put it up here and I'm going to read it out loud. And we'll have Coco, you go ahead first on this one. And then Dr. Barb, I would like for you to touch on it. And the question is, are we responsible? And when they said we, I personally reading it took it as spiritually responsible, right? Or mentally, emotionally responsible for horrid sexual dreams that are non-orgasmic. And so when I read this, and this is just my personal perception, my angle, when I read this question, I read that and perceived that, I'll say it like that, that this dream or whatever has been taking place has come from a place of either trauma, right? Fear, that must be the basis of it, where there is always a spiritual answer. And so, Coco, can you go ahead and expound on what you feel like could be either a remedy, solution, or a support to this particular question?
So since you mentioned that we're going to go spiritual first with this particular question right here, that type of experience can come from multiple places. It can come from a unhealed place that's still open, that you have not dealt with, and that's why it keeps entering through dreams in various areas. Or it can also come from a place of unfulfillment, something that you are desiring and you may not be getting naturally. So in the spiritual realm, while you're sleeping per se, and you're not awoke, but you have to remember, just because you're asleep does not mean your spirit is dead and not alive. It still functions. So you're responding to what is unhealed or what is lingering somewhere on the inside and has not been dealt with. Now, I'm going to be transparent with y'all. I can speak to that whole little sentence that you just talked about, and I was able to overcome those very places when I got healed, set free, and delivered. There was a time when I was frustrated and it seemed like I could not overcome those orgasmic dreams or being tempted in my sleep. It seemed like when I was awake, I had all the strength and the power in the world to overcome it. But it seemed like the enemy would come. It seemed like the tempter would come when I was not awake in the world, functioning with everybody else. I would be tempted by what I was secretly drawn away with, that the world so-called or supposedly could not see, what previous spiritual leaders could not see. It was hidden sin, hidden desires, hidden embarrassments. And that's why that the scripture talks about us even being in a place to confess our problems, our errors one to another. So with somebody that you know can hold you, because when you begin to testify or ask for some strength in different areas, you can get some backup in that area. And when I begin to say, hey, this is what's going on with me, and I done tried it all on my own. And I stopped allowing myself to watch things on the secret DL that was causing me to go there when nobody else was watching. I noticed when that stuff would come in the dreams, this is going to help somebody. I became so strong in that area to where I began to look at the very thing facing me and say, not today. Not tonight. I know who you are. I know what you come to do. And I'm not going out like that. And the more I overcame, the more stronger I got. When I realized the power and authority that I can have in those things, I'm telling you, it helps. But you got to fight back. You got to learn how to not expose yourself to the things that are going to cause you to be unhealed, undelivered, and not set free, to where you're fighting with these strongholds, even in the sleep realm. But they will manifest while you're awake. And before you know it, you're watching everybody's behind walking past you. You're looking between folks' legs and doing different things. And you're like, I know I'm better than that. Because that type of inner lust and desire builds up. You have to deal with it. And I don't want to take everything, Apostle Thomas. I'm going to leave you a lot of that. Because it's deep.
Yeah, it's deep. It's deep. One of the things, and just to piggyback, when all my children are adults now, right? But when they were younger and they would have those type of dreams, I always told them, if you have a nightmare, if you have a dream, come tell mommy about it. And then a lot of times I would ask them, what did you watch before you went to bed? What were you looking at? What books are you reading? And it got to the point where, because my children all prophetic in some way, shape, or form, I would have to write a note to the school and say, look, they can't read that book. What movie are y'all watching? They can't watch that movie. You don't, like, y'all may not understand, but as a parent, I had to take a stand even over my kids when they were younger, to say, hey, they're not at the strength level spiritually to combat what is coming into their ear and their eye gates. And I had to be the blocker. I had to be like, look, no, they're not reading the Hunger Games. I had one of my kids was reading the Hunger Games and was having dreams about murder, because there's murder in the book. That's what they were reading. That's what their eye and their spirit was ingesting. And then they would dream about it and they didn't understand it. And so these things are really real. Go ahead, Dr. Barb.
One of the things the Father was telling me about when I was dealing with the spirit of masturbation, one of the things he began to talk to me about was restoring my thoughts and my imagination. A lot of times things are stirred up, like you said, by what we see and different things. But then he said something to me that messed me up, because he said, and especially in the body of Christ, they have a tendency uh, to cause something to stir up in people, because they give them uh, rules and regulations without explanation and
Yes.
understanding. Because one of the things he said to me, he said, your sexual drive was given to you because of the fact that I said, be fruitful and multiply. He said, so there are times in your life, and that's why even when a child has been molested or something, there is a stirring that then begins to introduce them into feelings of their sex drive begins to come alive at that time. So he began to talk to me about it. He said, but you got to learn how to cast down that imagination that comes up, and also how to guard your eye and ear gates to the point to where you have the ability to absolutely withdraw your imagination from certain things that you're seeing and hearing. And what we're dealing with right now is a generation that everything they see, television, what they selling. They're selling things even through ads with a sexual overturn on it. And so everything that they're giving them has some kind of sexual activity involved in it because they're trying to sell products or they're trying to sell themselves. And so it is important that we begin to really help the people to understand that you do have a sex drive, but you got to bring it under subjection. And you got to bring it into a morality clause that the Father has given us. And no matter what anyone says, we're not stirred until something deals with our morality clause that all of us have. I didn't learn about sexual desires or anything until I encountered things that begin to stir it up in me. And so this is why, like y'all was saying, you got to be careful what you're seeing, what you're looking at, what you absolutely got your eyes on. And in the course of it, you got to understand that there is something in us that makes us want to look too. You understand? And we got to know how to bring that under subjection. And I'm just being real. There's something, even at my age, I got to stop it, girl. I'm serious. Because sometimes the enemy, the first thing he does, he said, you got to look down and come on. And so I had to learn how to cast down that imagination. I had to learn how to train my mind to override my eye gates that want to look and my ear gates that want to hear something that will trigger something that was pleasurable to me. And so when the enemy comes in because of what we looked at, he comes in our dreams to keep us triggered.
Right.
So he comes to keep us triggered into wanting sex or wanting to be satisfied. Or as the woman of God was saying, sometimes it comes because of unfulfillment. Now, I was married when I was dealing with masturbation. Okay, can I just say that? And so the enemy would come in my dreams to the point to my husband woke me up one night. He said, who you having sex with? Your body just gyrating and everything else. But it was because I was not being satisfied by him. Okay. And so the enemy knew that I wasn't being satisfied. He knew he couldn't catch me when I was conscious. You understand? So he came in my dreams. And so the lack of fulfillment of myself sexually caused me to be vulnerable to sexual dreams. And so we got to understand that, yes, it might come. And so it was what opened me up to the point till I begin to look. And that's the worst thing you can do, start looking.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
look, this goes right.
Don't look.
Eyes open you up. And
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely. So look, that everything you guys both just said it leads into our next question. All right. And this question, we're gonna stay on this one 2 minutes because it goes into literally like the rest of the questions. All right. And the question is, why is masturbation bad if I don't have a mate? Isn't it natural? Isn't it natural? And so yes, and I'm gonna pass this one to Coco because I know in your line of work you have dealt with the same generation that I have. I've dealt with y'all all ages, but for me specifically, middle school into college age, where young people right now, they want to know, I don't have a boyfriend, I don't have a girlfriend. My mama and daddy won't let me do that. So I have these urges because I'm going through adolescence. My hormones are off. Why can't I masturbate? Why is it so bad? And again, so that was the spiritual question. Now we talking natural. All right, we talking natural, straight up. Why is it not okay? That's what they want to know. Why can't I do this if naturally I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do, being I don't have anybody to have an outlet with? So go ahead, Coco.
So first off, I can't be tempted by what I don't know.
There you go.
I can only be tempted by what I experience. And we know that if you get one right, we being real here, orgasms can feel wonderful.
Right. 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 Right.
But depending on certain experiences, they can also be very tormenting,
Mhm.
depending on the experience. But
Right.
people don't think about the fact that orgasms are masturbation is a quick, it's not the orgasm, it's the masturbating, it's the mindset, it's what it opens you up to. It's a quick open door to quick pleasure, because nobody knows how to, people learn how, but nobody knows how to please your body better and quicker than you do. So what will take somebody in eternity, or they never figure it out with your body, you know how to touch yourself. You know exactly the spot to go to. You know how long to do, and you know the pleasure. But what it does is it's an open door that leads to a bigger problem, because it's the setup to you desiring even more of what comes with that. Like I said, I can't be tempted by what I've never experienced. And there would be young women and young men that would come to my office, and I would have these conversations with them. And you know that you don't, in community health especially, you hold the confidentiality. You don't share this stuff with the parents unless the child is okay, or the person, because it's not just children doing it. We're talking about unmarried adults too, that are saying, this is how I hold out until I get me somebody that can please me and I legally get married. This is what keeps me out of somebody else's bed, so I please myself. But it opens up the door for the individual to desire the real thing. And not only that, it puts you in a place that when you really get in a place to where you are able to have a giving spouse, that you become not even sexually pleased by them.
Right.
You
Exactly.
and I was even in that life of masturbation for a while. I'm gonna be transparent, and I can share this because my husband knows how I am and he knows me. And this is a thing, before marriage, I was highly involved in masturbation, because I was with individuals with an S that were not able to please me, to where it became the question of, y'all not taming my beast. I'm wasting time with y'all, and I could have did this all by myself. Y'all getting more out of this than I am. Why am I even going out like this? But when God sends you somebody that is for you, it wasn't until I got married to my husband to where masturbation was not needed. It was not needed. So I had a different experience than some, to where that's not an issue. A matter of fact, I had that whole conversation with my husband even before we got married. I'm not getting married to please myself. There's that honesty, that communication, there's that transparency. But you got to be able to handle the conversation that you're requiring answer to as well. But that's the thing. It opens up a bigger door to a bigger pothole of pleasure, lusting, and you want to go deeper. Before you know it, your fingers and your vibrators and your toys is not doing it, and you gonna want a human being to come and do it for you, because you're tired of doing it for yourself. So it sets you up for a bigger pot of
Absolutely.
possible failure,
Yes.
embarrassment, you not even being happy with yourself, and not being able to be sexually fulfilled when you do get into a real relationship.
And that's where I want you, Dr. Barb, to touch on, because you've already expressed how you dealt with that in your relationship, in your
Right.
marriage. Can you tell the people how masturbation affects your relationship? You know,
It
how can it negatively affect the relationship?
it negatively
Mhm.
affected it due to the fact that I know my body's rhythm. Hear
Mhm.
me? And so knowing your rhythm, like the woman God said, knowing the rhythm of your body, the timing of your body and everything, you got to get an understanding concerning that. So I knew my body's rhythm. So like she said, when you start fooling with them, the vibrators and everything, remember this is not a human person. So your expectation is going to be off and so when it came time for him to have the ability, because the last 5 years of our marriage, I was literally celibate
Mm.
because he couldn't function. Uh, and that's a whole nother story about something
We
else.
don't get into
But
it.
in the course of it, uh, the expectation got thrown off due to the fact that I began to compare him with my fingers, uh-huh,
Yep.
and my vibrator, which meant that the vibrator and everything. So, uh, and the caution of that is it throws off your expectation, and then it really literally throws off your body's rhythm. And so, even when we would try to come together, the rhythm was off with us due to the fact that I was used to longevity when it came to it, because I can just do it until I wanted to. You understand? I knew what to do, how to pull back, and everything. Whereas he didn't know that. You understand? Uh, uh, and so it caused me to not ever get to a place after that where I wanted to be fulfilled by him. You hear me? Even when he would do what he was doing, I would absolutely go in the bathroom afterwards and do what I had to do, because I had gotten to the point to where I couldn't have an orgasm or anything with him. And again, I taught on orgasms one time in a relationship class to let them understand that that is the point. That's the key that opens up you being able to become one. So instead of me becoming one with my husband, I became one with everything else I was doing, which meant that I now have become one with myself for real, really.
Right.
And so
Right.
I was in a soul tie with my own self. Ain't that crazy? But that's what it was. He began to show me
Right.
that I enjoyed pleasuring myself more than I enjoyed being pleasured by my husband. And so it was a soul tie with my own self that I formed with that. And so it's dangerous because it can cause severe dysfunction in your marriage bad. It really can. And then not only that, I hear him talking about, well, I'm single, but you got to understand, it also is going to open you up, like she said, for you to go into all other kind of things. That's because after a while, uh, it's going to get boring even with yourself. You hear
Right.
me? It's
Right.
gonna get boring even with yourself, and you'll find yourself absolutely. I remember, you guys. I remember counseling this young lady that was so into masturbation that when she couldn't really, uh, mm, she couldn't get satisfied with a man. So guess what she started doing? Excuse me. She started having sex with her dog. You
Yeah.
hear me? So it
That's what they doing.
opened doors that we
Yeah.
don't understand that are open, because it brings in also an insatisfied
Mhm.
spirit upon you where you can't be satisfied. And then because really, the sexual act was is was made to be between a man and a woman. So now you don't really get the other part of what goes with it, like the caressing, the holding, the touch. That touching communication
Right.
is a boss thing. So you're not getting that, and so
Right.
it causes you now to. So that's why I'm saying the mind blowing of what they're inventing even now to separate you from a human being. So now they got dolls. Now they got all kind of different things that people are doing, and they're using everything they can, because it gets to a point to where you say to your spouse or the person that you with, "You're not enough for me."
Exactly. So
So the
I'm gonna go to this.
compatibility was there from the beginning until I brought out into that. You understand what
Exactly.
I'm saying? And so it
Exactly.
opened me up to the fact that I begin to say, "You're not enough for me." Okay.
Exactly. So to just pause right there, because you said something a little earlier about how it wasn't just that you weren't being satisfied, but that there were also some, erectile dysfunction issues and
Yeah.
different things like that. And I personally, I've dealt with that in some of my relationships where there were other medical issues that caused certain
Right.
things to just not be able to go down. And so this brings me to my next question. This is the next question, y'all. I'm gonna try and hit as many of them as we can. I am older. I'm 60 plus, and my future spouse will be as well. Erectile dysfunction and low libido is an issue and could possibly, well, basically say, and could possibly be an issue. Why are toys and oral sex cliche or sometimes not an option if there are physical concerns? All right, now this has a lot in it. I'm gonna address this one just a little bit because this has many different dimensions to it, because we're talking about, number one, husband and wife, right? Husband and wife, okay, of a certain age, right? As we grow older, okay, and even though I say I'm 25 forever, baby, it's some things that ain't 25 no more, okay? And so as we grow older, and for those of us, and I'll just say it like this, who are spiritual, we understand that the marriage bed is, yes, undefiled. But there are things that have been taught, not just in church, right, but in school, in different areas, where oral sex is frowned upon and the use of toys is frowned upon. But with this question, they're saying, well, if physically we are not able to satisfy one another, why can't toys and or oral sex be utilized in order to strengthen the intimacy bond? And Coco, I'm gonna go to you on that one for and I'm a time 2 minutes. 2 minutes. What you got?
Frankly, it's false advertisement. It's temporary fulfillment. And it still opens up the gate. It leaves the gate open for you to still want that touch, that natural affection from someone who may not be dealing with erectile dysfunction or impotency. And it's not always the man. Sometimes there are women that deal with dry issues. They don't produce enough vaginal wetness to enjoy the sex or the intimacy as it's happening to them. So there's not just the man that we look at here that may be dealing with something, because you have to also look at the fact what happens when the woman is so sensitive and she cannot use vaginal aid to help her produce a wetness that would make the sex more enjoyable for her, but her husband still needs to be pleased. Yeah, the Bible does say that marriage is honorable and the bed undefiled, but you still can open up the gate and allow some spiritual calamity and lust and desires for somebody else outside of your spouse. That's why it's one thing for you to marry or go into a relationship knowing that the individual has that issue, then you sign up to deal with what comes with that. But if I marry you and it becomes an issue later on, you got to remember the vow you took. I vow to deal with you whatever comes, whatever goes. That's why your sex is a big thing, but that's why your marriage has got to be based, has got to be built on more than just sex.
Right.
Absolutely.
It has to be.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
touch your spouse, right? What's wrong with your hands?
Yeah.
We being real, right?
Real talk.
Right.
Real
What's
talk.
wrong with your hands? Your hands don't work good?
Yep. There we
Or do
go.
you want them to go get a fake pocket because they make those for the woman?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want her to go get a toy and then you be jealous of it? It just opens up a whole, you will be, in the end, it opens up the door for jealousy and for you to be accused of doing things you're not doing because they are incompetent with who they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want you, Dr. Barb, I'm gonna put up the next question because they kind of go hand in hand and you can address both. Okay. I'm trying to make sure I get all the questions before 10 o'clock. All right. So this question here, and then the next question is this. All right. After being celibate for some years, I find I'm not that interested anymore. But every now and then, being a single woman, I don't mind a cuddle hug, a smooch, but it's fleeting. I'm losing my desire for a husband. How do I keep hope? Or what do I do to keep hope? So they kind of go hand in hand, because a lot of times, and this is how they go hand in hand. A lot of times, um, um, uh, the reason that the older generation, and I say older generation because even millennials now don't look. It's even some, and we're not like that, but even some millennials now, they don't even want to get. They don't see a reason to want to get married because they can go get what they want real quick. Okay, and I'm talking like 35 and up. Why I gotta, it's just a piece of paper. I don't have to be with nobody. Like, I'm not even interested in getting married anymore. The dating scene is so wild and it's so crazy. Like, why do I even have to address really locking in with somebody when I could just deal with this person, and when I'm done dealing with them, I could just move on somewhere else? Or I don't have to make that commitment because I'm committed to myself. I'm doing me. There's so many different aspects of celibacy right now as to why people are celibate. Sometimes it's because they can't find their mate. Sometimes it's because of health. Sometimes I'm finding that a lot of men right now call themselves being celibate because of financial reasons. They don't want to wine and dine and spend time with a woman in order to open up the communication that will eventually lead into a true and intimate relationship. So just touch on that for all of it, however you want to touch on it, Dr. Barb.
Okay, let me get in here about this lost of that. A lot of times that comes about where you begin to lose interest because sometimes, especially I can talk for older women because I deal with them a lot in counseling. Sometimes they have made up their mind because they're getting older, especially if they have a older spouse, or if they're getting older, that somewhere in their society have made us believe that when we get older, that becomes non-existence. You understand? And
Mhm.
so sometimes our mind is locked in that, and we look at it, especially if we have been single for a length of time. We get comfortable with being alone. So it's not so much that and I was telling somebody this, and I said, let me talk about me. I said, it's not so much that I don't want a husband. I said, what I have came to is a conclusion that I can live happy even by myself. I said, and so sometimes because of that, we start sitting thinking about everything that entails with marriage. And maybe I don't want to have to cook every day no more. Different things begin to come up.
Yes,
So
Lord.
what we start doing, we start shutting our mind off into thinking that, that into wanting relationship
Mhm.
and relationship. Now I can't talk for any other older woman, but that ain't my issue. I want a husband, and it ain't about sex with it. It's about the companionship. And sometimes, uh, especially the older generation, because society have made it seem as if when we get certain ages that the value of who we are goes down. Hear me? That we start coming to a place to where we shut off our desire for anyone else. But no matter what age you are, when we were created to complement and get with each other. That's a commandment, to be fruitful and multiply, to not have sex. And really, it was never, oh, I'm gonna get in trouble with this. His intention for us to just live lifestyles of celibacy, because from the beginning we were told to be fruitful and multiply. You understand? But because of certain situations and circumstances, especially a lot of times when you get older, sometimes you have already been in marriage or been in a relationship. Either the person might have died or it was bad, that you come to, hey, okay, I'm just going to live the rest of my life like this. And so in the course of that, you got to get to a place. All right. One of the things I saw that part about oral sex. I was talking to a woman of God the other day about that. What the Father gave me when it came to that, because He began to tell me. He said the male sperm has a assignment. He said it has an assignment. The opening of the woman has an assignment. Okay. And so he. Okay, y'all hear me? So sperm has an assignment. It was created so it can pollinate the woman. Y'all hear me? So that we can be fruitful and multiply. And so he began to talk to me about that and began to give me an understanding concerning that. He said, a lot of people go into the Song of Solomon. He said, but they got to read that with an understanding of what it was. Because I hear people say, well, he kissed her thigh. Yeah, he kissed her thigh. But it never says he went into the portal. Okay. Even with the woman, she might kiss, but she's not supposed to swallow. Okay. Can I put it like that? The sperm. Hear me? Because this is what he said to me. He said, that's a soul, because it was made to bring forth life. You understand? And so this is how I explain to people that even though the marriage bed is undefiled and we say it's holy, there's still some guidelines that he put in there that this is supposed to be used for. Now, humans and monkeys and somebody, and I think it's dolphins or seals. One of them, those are the only three that sex was pleasurable for. You understand? Where you they mate for and were able to enjoy each other. Most of all the other species, when they come together, it is just for them to be fruitful and multiply, to populate. And so a lot of times, even in the body of Christ, again, they put the older generation out to pasture. You understand? Once, if you've been married, your husband died, they're not expecting you to marry again. They want you to just live the rest of your life without companionship, and that's not necessarily the case. But again, if you have lived and someone's died, sometimes we just say that's my love of my life, and they make the decision not to do
Right.
that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And even when the man, and just like Apostle Snow was saying, there are ways you can satisfy your spouse. You understand? Toward a little bit I got with the man, and he finally learned how to do something. You understand what I'm saying? So that I could come out of that. You understand what I'm saying? I'm
I
just getting
understand what you're
ready
saying.
to learn how to
Yes, I
do
do.
something.
I understand what you're saying. I understand
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah,
Yes.
he learned how to do something, because I'm not supposed to go outside my
Right.
marriage bed.
Right.
Okay, so I have to make sure. So a lot of people make excuses to have affairs because of erectile dysfunction. But can I tell you that in the beginning, let me just hit this with y'all. Just gonna mess y'all up, because when I begin to study about him making woman, I learned this, that the word for rib in that scripture through the Hebrew is the same word for penis bone in the Hebrew. Okay, y'all hear
Go
me?
there. Go there.
Yeah.
Go there.
And so the Father began to say to me, because every other creature has a bone except for man. And so the Father began to say this to me. He said, what you need to understand is that the absence of the bone in the male means that when it's time for a man to enter into a woman for creation, the spirit of my spirit holds the penis in its erect position until it releases creation in her body. Y'all understand now? You understand? It's just not all the time, because there are times that you can be with somebody and they can't function with you, but they can get with somebody else and it will move for them. You understand? Because this is who the Father have created them to be created with. People don't understand that a woman egg can reject the choice of the man that she's even with. Hello? Y'all didn't know that, huh? Okay. She can reject it. She can reject it. That egg will reject the part, that man. You understand? It will reject him. It will absolutely reject its ability to come into her and to make her pregnant. You hear me? And so a lot of times we got to get an understanding about some things and begin to understand what's really happening. So a lot of times what we're dealing with is the people not having the ability to be long suffering toward a spouse that has something going on. And again, this is conversations you got to have beforehand.
And I'm going to chime in right there because I didn't have that conversation in one of my relationships, and where I found out later on, you know what I mean? I had to realize that this is something that I now have to deal with because I never had the conversation. And so those conversations are really important, which leads me in to I'm going to do back three more, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do part 2 and 3. But I want to go here. Real quick, because conversation is important. We talk about communication at the beginning. Why are women often taxed with the responsibility of carrying the flow or tone of conversation in new relationships? I'm gonna touch on this one, and then I'm gonna throw it out there. And this, I'm gonna touch on this one because I'm outside a little bit. I'll say it like that. I'm outside a little bit, and I've learned that you know, we as women, we are enlightened to converse because we talk. You know, we have to talk. We are nurturers, okay? We wear many hats, and we go into arenas where we have to communicate to get the things we need to get done in our lifespan and the many hats that we wear. And so I'm going to say this personally, I don't believe that we're taxed with it. It shouldn't be a burden. You should want to communicate with the person that has quote unquote found you or is seeking after you or pursuing you. You should want to communicate with them because they find interest in you. Now, I will say this, if they're really interested in you for real, you're not going to have a hard time with them communicating with you. If they're really interested in you, baby, you're not going to find yourself always being the one texting and calling. You're not going to find yourself, it's not going to feel like you are pulling teeth to have a conversation. That man will absolutely open himself up to communicate with you in a manner where you know without a shadow of a doubt that you guys are building a foundation of something. Now, if you are, and I'm going to help some of my single women that are on here on tonight. Now, if you constantly texting and you get one word answers, or you constantly picking up the phone and you getting the voicemail, or when you do talk on the phone, you doing all the talking and then the response is, yeah, well, yeah, that's good. Uh-huh. Oh, all right. And there's nothing from the heart or the soul or the personality of this man that is trying to pursue you, then you might want to move on. You might want to just go ahead, keep that number, and maybe later on down the line he'll be enlightened. But you need to go ahead and understand that your time is valuable and you don't get your time back. So don't allow yourself to be wrapped up in carrying the tone of the conversation, because I'm going to take it back. In the Jewish tradition, now this but in the Jewish tradition, when a man wanted to take up a wife, he had to pay what was called a dowry. All right, we're talking historical. He had to pay a fee for that woman. Okay, not only did he have to pay a fee for that woman, that father was now taxed with building a room for this husband and this wife, which oftentimes took up to almost a year. All right, in it taking almost up to a year, that gave that man and that woman time to court, or time to communicate, or time to continue to expand their relationship to ensure that this is what they wanted to go into. So with that being said, not only were you paid for back then, because that's where the natural interest, I want her, I'm gonna pay her daddy, pops, I want your daughter, here's the check. So real quick, put a pin right there. To every man out there that's saying, I ain't got to provide for a woman, I got to know what she brings to the table. I shouldn't have to pay for everything. Back then, that's what happened. They paid for everything. But the father found it important for men to have a helpmeet, which means that they could not do everything alone, that they needed some type of help or support, and that's what we are created to do. All right, and there are so many terms that and different scenarios that can go into, but I'm gonna word this a little bit different. Why do and this, I'm gonna give you this one to you, Coco, and then there's another one, Dr. Barb. The next one I'm gonna give to you. Why do you feel that so many women feel like they have to carry the tone of conversations in relationships?
Well, I would answer that in this way. For so long, women have been dominating in relationships. Also because at times, I'm not going to put this on every man and I'm not going to put this on every woman, but women have carried a lot of weight in relationships in areas that some would feel they shouldn't have carried the weight in as being the sole provider. So a lot of times women get in this vein of always leading the charge, leading the conversation, handling the kids, being on the phone. So women talk a lot. There are some women who don't talk a lot, but women naturally just handle business and speak. So the charge isn't really on us to have to do that. Honestly, it depends on who you're connected with. And as women, we have to learn how to step back and let a real man just take charge. And we have to learn to allow them to share with us their likes, desires, and dreams, and not make everything about us. To where a man, let me help some of y'all women out. Some men will sit back and hush and be quiet and hold their tongue and just let you run your mouth and be like, I sure am not going to choose her as a wife, but she talks too much. I can't get a word in. Everything is about her, because women have been trying to sell themselves to a marriage or a committed relationship for too long.
Come on.
Stop. Sit back and allow the individual to learn you. That's the one thing. Even though I knew my husband for years before we got married, we wasn't flirting and playing hanky panky or none of that, and knowing each other 10 years before we even decided to even take a look at each other like that. And the one thing I noticed he did and I did was we gave each other time to just communicate. I let him talk. He let me talk, but it was natural. When a relationship is natural and God given, I'm gonna tell you, that conversation just flow. Quit trying to force relationships that are not supposed to be. And I'm gonna stop right there.
Dr. Barb, I'm gonna give you this next question, and you can also chime in on this one. Why do alpha women actually like to be told what to do in relationships?
Oh God. Oh God. Because though they come forth with a dominance, they still want to be dominated. Uh, a lot of women, they become alphas to try to push that man into taking his role in the relationship. Now, I can speak for me because I have a strong personality. Let me just put it like that. When it comes to relationship, I'm strong in that. I'm expecting them to get into this place. And so a lot of times when they're not where they're supposed to be, I'll do something to try to provoke them into it. So I begin to take over the lead. Hear me? I begin to take over the lead and say in my mind, I'm taking over the lead because I'm trying to show you how you should be leading me. And so a lot of time with the alphas, a lot of them too have, I noticed too, have been in homes where the woman was suppressed too. And they take on that form because they don't want to go through what they saw their mothers or other women in the bloodline go through, where they became, because listen, in my generation, you know, they were made to take care of the outside babies and everything. They brought them husbands would go out and get babies and bring them home to the wife, and they were supposed to be dutiful and making sure that they take care of that man. And so a lot of the young girl, and that's what really, cause even though my mom and dad, he did let her run the household, I still saw areas of dysfunction where he should have stood up more stronger as a man. You understand? And my mother was the type, if you give her leeway, she gonna take it all. And so that's and so I began to take on that personality. Let me just put it like that until I got free, and understood that it wasn't taken away from me as a woman. But some of the times that alpha woman, she comes forth because she have been in situations too where she was unprotected. When we're unprotected, we have a problem with that. We are expecting you to protect us, to cover us, and to keep us from harm. And so we'll go into the alpha mode because I don't want to be put in a vulnerable state. Like if my bills are not paid, or you're not protecting me from people. I remember my marriage with my husband that died. His mother was dominant over him. He was like a little mama's boy. You understand what I'm saying? And so I had to take on like that role of an alpha female in my household. Other than that, she would have ran me over like she was doing him. You understand? So a lot of times it comes up as a survival technique. It's not always because I'm a man hater. Sometimes and some of them is because they're dealing with other little issues, identity crisis and stuff. But most of the time, it's a way of survival and a way of protecting themselves from being hurt or being put in a vulnerable state where it looked like. Because I watched this, my grandmother, uh, yeah, loved her. But I watched as she didn't know how to do nothing. You understand? Because her husband did everything and she was just subject to him. And so in the course of that, I said, I'll never be in a vulnerable state with a man. Okay. And so it brought me into a leadership type of thing. But now I know how to govern that and to balance that where I don't become overbearing. But most of the time it was a defense mechanism because I saw women being suppressed. I saw women being crushed. I saw women made to take things that the normal woman shouldn't have to take. And so I saw that. So it brought me into what they would call, back then they was just would say we was hard or Jezebel, but now they say it's an alpha female. But most of the time it is a defense to keep from being put in a vulnerable or unprotected state.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I totally agree because for me, I've very always been very, anybody who truly knows me, I'm very submissive, very humble. But the alpha woman little title had been given to me because I went through situations where I was absolutely unprotected. I went through situations where I was put into survival mode where I had to figure it out. And so it got to a point where it did not matter who told me what, I was going to handle it because I had other little people, not just children, but even friends and people that I was in protection or had rule over at the time that were dependent on me. And so I don't feel like that a lot of alpha women intend to be that way. It's
Right.
just it's become a characteristic of their personality that yes, they are looked at and perceived as alpha women, or what I say, yes, I am very much extra in every sense of the word, but that extra is not a negative extra. It's
Right.
extra in the fact that I'm authentically me. Yeah, and I'm protective over those that I love, and I'm
Right.
not going to let anybody run over not just me, but them that are assigned or I have responsibility for. And so that's really, really super important.
And
Go ahead, Dr. Barb.
I wanted to say this because if they going to pattern me after the Proverbs 31, she would have what you would call a alpha
Right.
mentality, because
Right.
she was the businesswoman. She took care of the household, she took care of the bills and everything. And so if they talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, then you're talking about a woman of strength and capabilities in a diverse way. She had the ability to do several things, even to the point she was able to go out and make her husband even a name for himself through what she did. And so if they're going to talk about it, they need to understand, because it's not, I don't like that term, because a woman that's secure and a woman that can handle business is made to be seen as if it's a dysfunction, when it's not. Because when the father, when they were saying that about me, he took me to the Proverbs 31 woman, and he said, look, at you're doing everything she does. And this is the woman, the kind of woman that is recommended for a man. You understand? But society always come to change the narrative. You understand? So if you got a capable woman, or a woman that's able to walk with you and able to work with you, automatically they'll say the man is henpecked, or he's being controlled, or he got a Jezebel in his household. When in reality, what he has is a woman that is a true helpmeet. Hello. And she is helping him to be everything he's supposed to be. Plus, she's the keeper of the house. And so it is her responsibility. A wise woman builded her house, and we build it according to the specifications that is supposed to be ran in a godly way. And so that is a negative term that they begin to put on women. Hear me real good. That are capable of being able. If I have a man, fine. Even if I don't, I still can excel in business. I still can be who I am, and yet still be gentle. Hear me? Because I heard something you said. I'm like this, but I'm gentle. Okay. And so, but they don't usually want to see the gentleness of who you are, because they see this other side. And society has tried to make tell women that they can't do, but we are the counterpart of man. Right. You understand? Well, I'm here to compliment you. I'm here to walk beside you, not try to overtake you, not be behind you, but we're co-equal in our abilities to be able to form this perfect union in this household. And so a lot of times that word is used to try to suppress capable women that know their identity, know who they are, and know that they have the ability to accomplish not just in the household, but even in society.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see you, Coco. You got something you want to add to that?
I see that hand.
Yeah,
No.
just because
Yeah.
my wheel is
Yeah.
turning.
Turning. Go
My
ahead. Go
wheel
ahead.
is turning. I just keep hearing leading lady,
Yeah.
leading lady, and I just to short something to add is that a leading lady will submit to the right man that presents himself
Absolutely.
appropriately. He may not have all them zeros behind everything. But the right mature male that presents himself right to a leading lady can win her hand.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to say. And I know this is a little early, but I have to say it because the Father been talking to me too in this conversation here. And I just have to say this on this platform that the Father is up to something, and what He is allowing to take place on this platform this evening is needed. And it has to be given to the world
Mm-hmm.
from not just the east to the west of the US of A, but
Yeah.
wherever it will reach, because these are
Mm-hmm.
problems. in the four walls and outside of the four walls that need to be addressed everywhere, regardless of your color, regardless of your sex,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of your occupation or your gifts. We all are dealing with something that we could relate to or we have experience in this conversation. So I know you said three tomorrow, but I don't see that. I'm just going to tell you up front. I don't see that. And I know Dr. Barb, I don't think you see that either. I know what her mouth said. I know what she was thinking, but just quit. I don't want to call you a liar tomorrow, but quit lying to yourself. Oh, just look at reality
You know,
and what God is doing, and you see why
yeah,
the devil be trying to fight certain people in relationships. We're talking about
Yeah.
relationships, right?
Yeah.
no, really for
Let's
real.
Yes.
keep it real.
No.
Let's just let the
We
pot
flow.
get
So let it
stirred
flow.
where it is.
I hear you, man.
So
I hear you.
I'm
I
done.
hear you.
Go ahead. Back to the
I hear
next
you.
question.
All
Go
right,
ahead,
look,
Tamara.
last question, y'all. Last question. And I think, and I would love, anyway, I'm gonna put this one out here. And we'll end on this one because I got some more questions, which we'll definitely have to go into, the next sessions because I feel like we've definitely got into not just the surface, but it can go so much more in depth with many of the questions that came forth because they were given transparently, yes, but also I think the people need to know and understand you can still be real raw and uncut, and you have to have the element of the stable mind, right? And
Yeah.
the strength of the spirit of God, no matter what, because it's holistic. And I think one of the reasons that relationships fail is because they're not looked at holistically,
Listen.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I said I'm still going to have Amel on in some of the next sessions because we need to also hear
Got
the male side of things. And so,
got
real
to.
quick, this is the question I want to kind of wrap up on tonight, and I'm going to have you, Dr. Barb, address this one, and then you too as well, Coco. Why are men so afraid to open up emotionally?
Well, one of the things, because I was in a household with six brothers and my father, and then I had five uncles that lived across the street from me. One of the things that they absolutely began to say to me was, sis, whenever we as men want to really express ourselves, because we express ourselves a little bit different with than women do. He said, you guys can say something in a calm way, whereas sometimes we come off kind of hard and brass with what we're saying. He said, and oftentimes our feelings are neglected or we are accused of our opposite of what we're trying to convey. He said, a lot of times we don't know how to really say what we need to say, and so rather than to be accused of being mean or something of that nature, we just kind of shut down and we hold a lot of things. He said, and because of that, it causes us to become bitter toward the woman we love. It causes us to become bitter sometimes toward them. It causes us to shut down because we're trying to say certain things, but sometimes they can't put it in the right words. They words sometimes be off. And they'll say, I didn't mean it like that. But we as women, we are emotional. So we take it how we're feeling emotionally when that's not the way he's really projecting it. And so they have a hard time because a lot of men have been brought up under this right here. Men are not supposed to cry. Men are not supposed to reveal. They're made to be thinking that they're soft or feminine or something because they cry or because of this, that, and the other. My question when I talk to a man is, bro, when last time you cried? When last time you cried? I don't care if you cried in the church or whatever. I want to know if you got some tears because a lot of times they harbor things within them because they're not able to communicate what they're feeling to not only uh, their wives or whatever, but also in society. And again, men are a little high strung when they're talking. And so they come off as aggressive sometimes. And so, but then they're accused of being abusive by the sometimes the tone of their voice and everything, but they communicate sometimes like that. They don't communicate a lot of times in that soft spoken way, especially if they're trying to defend themselves. So when they're trying to defend themselves, they become kind of aggressive. And so I watched my brothers uh, have to get retrained in their mind concerning that, because they understood. And so they would tell me, since we want to talk to the woman, but when we do, we sound aggressive. We sound like we're going to be abusive. He says sometimes even our gestures seem aggressive. So instead of telling them exactly how they feel, or with one of the things they told me too was this: we don't like to say I love you first because we feel like it puts us in a vulnerability. And so they keep even their feelings and things on the inside because they're protective of their manhood. Because everything is geared toward you got to act manly. And so a lot of times they won't tell their feelings, and they won't talk about what don't hurt them or what don't cause them pain, and they just become resentful and bitter toward the woman. And she's trying to figure out what's going on, but he won't communicate because he's been taught to communicate and to really say what's in your heart means that you're soft. Okay. And even other men put other men down when they do that. They can't even really talk about how much they love their wives and stuff without it make it seem like they're soft. So a lot of times they do it to shield the image of their manhood, and they won't open up, and they won't, and they're and especially if a man has been with a woman that has said something derogatory toward him, toward the way he provides, or even the way that he performs in bed. Now that one right there, I know that one right there almost kill a relationship. There's certain things that we as women can't say to a man because he'll never recover from it. So he keeps back what he says. And most of the time they wait till you say you love them or how you feel about them before they will even say they love you. You understand? And so yeah, so that's a lot of times they keep that because they have been hurt, showing their emotion or misunderstood about
Right.
their emotions.
Right. Coco?
I keep going back to thinking about he motions and she motions. We know
Yeah.
that women are presented as more emotional than men are. And as Dr. Barb was saying, it's a lot of miseducation that has gone out there on how a man is supposed to present himself,
Hmm.
not just to women out in the community or in the world, but even amongst the women in their family, they are
Yeah.
taught not to share or show emotion because you're weak. So to show emotion or to share feelings is seen as being weak. You a weak man. So
Hmm.
society as well, along with some family dynamics, men are taught in some of their own homes growing up that it is not, it should not be a thing. You should
That's
not be
right.
showing that side of yourself. So he's not allowed to show his emotions, his emotions to a woman or anybody else for outside of themselves or their own mother per se. Some can't even show them to their own mother. And that's the first training ground. So if I cannot be myself and cry in the bosom of my mother as a child, how can I be expect to be open to cry in the bosom of another woman? And that I'm supposed to be with. And I also thought of the fact that being able to cry in your woman's bosom or the potential woman that's supposed to be able to catch you when you're down. to catch you when you're hurting, for you to be honest with and saying, hey, this is something that I've been dealing with, but I want to be honest with you and let you know that I'm struggling here. But can you show that man that you are emotionally strong enough to carry them, and they can lay in your bosom and let themselves be seen? Or are you gonna go tell your girlfriends and all your whole crew gonna think he weak? Or do you have enough care and love and really understand that it's okay for a man to cry? Because I grew up around both types of men that didn't want to cry, and some that cried, and there were some that did cry too much, but that was for other reasons. But I'm telling you, the man has to feel comfortable enough to rest in the bosom of a woman to cry on her. And have you presented that open space for him to let down his guard and be who he needs to be as the man? So women, you have a responsibility to allow the soft side, soft nature, the backbone, the front bone, whatever, the side bone, whatever bone you're trying to be. You have a responsibility, no matter how you look at it, to be supportive to the man that God has called in your life. And if you cannot be that, you need to go sit down and get right instead of taking a strong man in that is ready and able and bruising him to the point to where he becomes unfit for the next woman. And you don't want to take responsibility. You want to go tell everybody he was weak because all he did was cry. He cried because you wasn't listening. He cried because he wanted to be honest with you, and you got mad because he went and laid in the bosom of another woman that was willing to give him what you were not. I'm done.
No, and you know what? That right there is the big. You just dropped the bomb for next week.
She dropped the bomb.
She dropped the bomb for next week, because the reality of it, what I'm finding is a lot of, and this is y'all going on 5 years single now. What I have found is that a lot of men, they feel like they must have their guard up, because if they show that they are emotional or sensitive or soft in an area, that it's an open door for the woman to now attack that area, versus it being a place of peace, a place of rejuvenation, a place of tranquility, a place of utopia. That's a word people don't even want to utilize anymore, because that is what we as women were literally created to be. We were created to be his peace, literally. But we can't be that if we're taking him in his strength and shattering it. If we're taking him in the strength of his provision, of his manhood, of his masculinity, and we're stripping away from it because it's not where we feel like it needs to be. And a lot of times those areas where we're analyzing, they're not even our areas. They're areas that came from conversations with other women, with what they got going on in their household, with what they got going on with their husbands, men, whatever, and you're ingesting that, and then now projecting it on what God gave you, and now you got a whole bowl of chaos that you were never intended to have if you just would have remained his place of peace, his place of tranquility, his place of rest and utopia. And so next week, I'm gonna leave it right there. Next week, even though we touched a little bit on it spiritually, we're gonna talk about why, and this is another one. Why is it so much chaos in relationships and marriages in the church? Because a lot of times what has happened, not just with male preachers, but with women preachers, what has happened is they have found their peace and their utopia in the bosom of someone else. Someone else presented themselves to be available and to be willing to open up in areas where their spouse was not, either because they got the big head, they found themselves to be too busy, or they become preoccupied with other obligations, to where they have now taken their eyes off of their appointed and assigned love. And so now you have the world saying, I don't want to go to that church because that pastor, that so-and-so got this, that, and the third going on with sister and brother who and who. Sister Apple is messing with Brother Watermelon when Brother Watermelon is supposed to be with Sister Grape, and then Sister Apple is supposed to be over there with Brother Orange, and we don't. Everybody's we got a Skittle game. Everybody, somebody just opened a bag of Skittles and threw it everywhere, and don't nobody who know who purple don't go with purple, purple go with orange, blue, green, red, whatever. And now we got a situation on our hands where we have to have platforms like this. We have to have spaces like this because nobody wants to talk about it because it's cliche and it's you're tearing down. And I had look, Dr. Mother, I had somebody tell me, don't get on there and tear down your witness. What? Let me tell y'all something about Lady T. I've been an open book. Look, I used to get backhanded in my mouth as a child because I was going to say what I wanted to say. And that's part of the main reason. That's part of the main reason I have had the pathway that I have had, because I will not be silenced in any season of my life, because I understand wholeheartedly that relationships, communication, integrity, honesty, all those 7 characteristics, they are so key. And we have to be a connection of healing for the world to know that no, we might not be inside the 4 walls. No, we might be outside in outreach ministries and doing different things, healing and going into different avenues, into media and other places, but we are able to understand what you're going through. Because before we were able to pray the paint off the walls and slay folk on the altar, we went through some things to get to the space where we are at, to fully cognitively understand the impact this life now can have on somebody else. And so on tonight, I'm going to stop right there because it's getting the hour is getting late. And I just wanted to tell each of you, Dr. Barb, Apostle Nicole Coco Snow, I appreciate you all opening up transparently about the different, not just the questions, but the areas of even your life where so many they may not know that, look, we've gone through these things. We've been through things that now has given us tools to be able to assist and support others, not just in our family, but outside of our family. And so for those of you who are going through different relationship situations and issues on tonight, please know that it's only temporary. There is a solution. There is a way to come out, and there is a way to be delivered. There are answers concerning whatever you may be going through, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a new relationship, whether it's what you have going on with your brother or sister, your children, what have you. Dr. Barb is available. Apostle Snow is available. I am available for you to reach out for those questions. So please, right there on your screen, whether you're utilizing your device or what have you, you can email questions to royalrubieswe@gmail.com, and you can email your prayer requests, because I'm still going to do my Just Pray on Tuesday and pray for you all and stand in the gap for you all throughout whatever you may have going on. It is absolutely confidential. My team does not tell me who is sending what. I just get it and we handle it. All right. And so real quick, I want to give each of you about 2 minutes for closing remarks. If you have anything you would like to say, and I'm going to start with you, Coco.
I just want to say the topics on this evening were phenomenal. And I tell you, I know that the hours are well spent, but I could have went on and on and on, because this was some good stuff. This was some stuff that needed to be said and heard. I have not had a conversation, honestly, and been on a panel that had to do with even church business, where the truth was so transparent and yet respectably said, without doing too much or being too open or too freaky. It was what it was supposed to be. And I am excited. And that last them questions just got me going. So I'm gonna shut my mouth because I can talk. So I'm just gonna shut my gap, mind my business, and wait till the next season. But I know it ain't over, so I'm gonna just, go and get my water, drink, and sip on my water, and I'm gonna let that be that. Go ahead, Dr. Barr.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. All I want to do next week, y'all listen, the next time we come on, I want to talk about when ministry becomes the side chick. That's what I want to talk about. Yeah. That's what I want to talk
Yeah,
about.
that's
Y'all
a
be
Ministry take over your whole life and home and everything. I need to talk about that side
yeah. I
chick,
need to talk
side
about that too.
side chick, side rooster, whichever.
I've been there. I've
Me
been
too.
there.
Me
In
too.
the current marriage.
Yes, it'll tear
I've
your
been
whole
there.
marriage up.
I've been there.
Yeah.
And we need to
Yeah.
talk about that. But the topics, everything, the questions, all it was needful, necessary, and like you said, we came in integrity, but we did come with transparency. And one of the things that we got to learn, we just got to be able to sit down and have conversations without having to speak in tongues for 4 hours,
Exactly.
because I we need understanding. And so this was good, able to sit and just talk and to really talk. And I promise you, I know people got free of some things even on tonight, or it put them on the road to recovery on certain things that were spoken. And so I'm looking forward to the next go round. And I'm definitely looking forward to a man, because that was my next question. We got to have put a man in here, because you can't
Yeah.
never talk about relationship without having that side of the man in there. And
Absolutely.
so I'm looking forward to what the man gonna have to say in the course of it.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I'm looking.
Absolutely. Thank you guys again so much for being on tonight. I appreciate y'all and I love y'all.
Love you too.
I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys sign off now. Thank y'all so much. Hey everybody. If you enjoyed tonight, I just want to say thank you all. Thank you all for taking the time to be here with myself, Coco Nicole Snow, Dr. Barb. I really appreciate you all, not just the questions, the comments, taking the time to be with us. You all, Royal Rubies is a platform in which the Lord is doing great and mighty things. And I will really, really love if you guys would like to donate on tonight. The information is right here on the screen. All proceeds will go to the Royal Rubies Run It Conference 2026, which will take place in October. And you guys, we are going to come back again. Okay, we're going to come back again. Myself and Apostle Snow will be back on the next session. We're going to have I'm not going to give the name. We're going to have another special guest. And I said 3, but I'm going to be obedient. I'm going to be obedient. It's going to be as the Lord leads. We will continue to have these this platform. And I'm going to definitely get with Dr. Barb and have her back again as well. I love you guys. You guys, if you would like to donate on tonight, if you would like to donate via Zelle, you can donate to RoyalRubiesWE at gmail.com. If you have Cash App or Chime, you guys can donate to #RoyalRubiesWE. We is for worldwide empowerment. We come to absolutely empower the world with different things, different topics and different resources for the people. And so on tonight, I just want to tell you guys, thank you. I love you all. I appreciate you all. Just a reminder, you all, Tuesday nights, every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. You guys, I would love for you guys to join me for Just Pray. You guys can also email in your prayer request as well as your question. So if your question, because I had probably about 7 more questions, if your question did not get read on tonight, please tune into the next session, okay? The next session is going to be, let me put it up here. I'm going to tell y'all. What did I say? Where did I say? Sorry, y'all. Y'all know Lady T be doing a lot. I be traveling and doing too much. All right, here we go. All right, next session, August the 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. So not next week, the week after. You can join me next week for Just Pray. And then on the 27th, 8 p.m., I would love for y'all to join us back for Real, Raw, Uncut, the Remnant relationships. We would love for y'all to be a part. Thank you again to Apostle, I call her Coco, y'all, this family, my bestie, Apostle Snow and Dr. Barb. I appreciate you. To all of our Royal Rubies family, In Snow Ministries family, I Come to Heal family. Thank you all for coming and being a part of this platform. We absolutely love you. We appreciate you. For all of those who have sold or donated, we appreciate your donations. These donations help and support not just the conference. It helps us go into convalescent homes, to the prisons, onto college campuses, and bring platforms like this in person. So we love you all. Y'all have a great night. I will see y'all. Just pray. Tuesday night, 9 p.m. And then on August the 27th, the next session of A Real, Raw, and Uncut Relationships. I'm your girl, Lady T. I love y'all. Peace.